everybody want to watch a movie?
There is a place at the edges of space and time, a dimension that holds cinematic echoes of the past and present. Through years of experimentation, a doorway into this mysterious realm has been discovered. Our mission? To explore what lies at the depths of Dimension B.
Boom shakalaka.
Is that the ghost sound? Boom shakalaka.
Alright, first episode. I'm Bobby Mike and got my number 2 here, Dr. Science. How you doing, Dr. S?
Dr. Science.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Tough day in the lab? Tough day?
It's always a tough day when you're dealing with science.
Yeah. When you're dealing with science. We have our very first special guest, Michael Murphy, a.k.a. Michael Murphy, a.k.a. Michael Earl, a.k.a. the Nice Ninja.
The Nice Ninja.
How you doing?
That's me.
That's
What's
you.
up, buddy?
That's you. Yeah, you.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So what have you been into back?
Well, I just started school again at Northern Kentucky University and studying media and broadcasting type stuff, so this is kind of up my alley.
Sweet.
And I'm a musician and I produce and write music, and I think you can hear some of that on this podcast, so that's nice.
Mike was nice enough to do the intro,
Yes.
which will be at the beginning of every episode. You just heard it.
It's actually part of a song called Tranquility, which has not hit the internet yet, so everyone can check out my website, theniceninja.net.
Oh, you got your own site now?
Hopefully by the time that people can hear this.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're actually pretty quick at editing.
It's all ready to go. I just
might need to get on it.
Need to finish the music, really.
Awesome. Awesome, yeah. Well, anyway, you have SoundCloud, right?
Yes.
Which lots of good stuff on there.
SoundCloud /
The Nice Ninja.
The Nice Ninja.
Sweet. Well, Mike, I wanted to ask you a couple questions before we get started in the first episode, which we tried to think of something really awesome and ended up with Mega Piranha. So.
Yep, Mega Piranha.
Yeah.
wanted to start out with a bang. Just right in the face.
Well, I mean, actually, the title we came up with for this episode was F it, Mega Piranha it is.
Fuck it, Mega Piranha it is.
That's a good name.
So, before I ask you about this movie, I want to ask you a couple things like, what is the worst movie you've ever seen?
Well, Mega Piranha's definitely up there.
I'd be disappointed if you said otherwise.
I was trying to make this show about good B movies, Mike. Come on.
Well, it's how you, if you want to describe a good B movie as being very characteristic of B movies, then yes, this is a great B movie.
Okay, well, that's the next question. But first, is this the worst movie you've ever seen?
It's it's the worst I can think of right now.
All right. Okay. Now on to what?
I'm sure there are worse movies because there are parts of this movie that I liked, but
definitely. I have worse movies that I watch on an annual basis.
Annually.
What does the term B movie mean to you?
Well, yeah, I kind of wrote this out like a little essay question, but
that's why you're in college.
Yes, that's why.
Is it in APA format?
Not quite. It's in Google
All
Drive
right.
format.
We're
D
going to have
minus.
to reject that then.
Well, yeah. Kind of one of the main things I think I said was the difference between like an indie film and a B movie. Like they're both kind of low budget usually, but I feel like indie films are trying to reach a larger audience, and a large audience that sits around and
Badass
watches
people.
indie movies all day. But yes, you know what I mean. Like, yes, great. But yeah,
All right, that's acceptable. I can see that, and I think that's a common opinion.
Yeah, the other thing was that many B movies are horror and fantasy oriented, not like drama, like sitting around trying to figure something out or whatever. But it's
fantastical.
It's like a crazy idea that somebody just thought they want to make a movie, and yeah, that's why it's fun and funny sometimes. So yeah.
Yes, they're very enjoyable. Did you like Mega Piranha for what it was? Did you enjoy watching it?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it to the end, and I was laughing at the bad acting and the funny
How dare
digital
you?
animation stuff.
That was Oscar-worthy acting.
Yes.
And the CGI, top notch. I don't see what more you could ask for in this.
Almost as good as The Hobbit.
Yeah.
It had about the same budget, I heard.
Really?
Well, at least it had about the catering budget, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. All right. Well, now we're gonna go over the movie a little bit here, and Mega Piranha.
Yeah. So what? How did they make the piranhas? Was it a scientific experiment gone wrong?
Yeah, failed scientific experiment. As is pretty typical
Right.
for any of these. Oh no, what the hell is this animal type of movie?
Exactly.
Must have been a scientific
Exactly.
experiment.
Had to have been. I mean, there's scientists in it.
Had to. There's no other way.
Science. This is
They even had-
this is
they even
your-
had a lab and
yeah,
everything
this
in
is
there.
Your forte, Dr. Science. Tell us about how they made these piranhas.
Well, how they made the piranhas. It actually doesn't go into that too much, other than
They didn't have
some
the
sort of
time.
genetics. I don't know. I don't know that the people that wrote the script really had a whole lot of vocab words in mind, other than genetics robust. Got is like that's because having other fish. I mean, they're kind of dainty, so I could see why they'd want to beef them up a little bit.
Piranhas robustus.
They get picked on a lot.
Well, the one thing about the movie was that they would multiply and get bigger at the same time, is what they said. It was like you can't control how big they're getting and how fast they're multiplying. So it was like double whammy.
Yeah, I think at one point they decided that they were growing twice as fast.
Right.
At half the they were growing double the size in half the time, which Dr.
Yeah,
Science,
yeah,
is that
we
4 times.
Yeah, what is it that we came up with? Doubling
Yeah,
in
what is
half
that?
the time.
Is
that what they said?
And that would mean it was like exponential growth every second or so.
It's what, like
Yeah,
four
roids.
times or something.
I guess so. You're the scientist.
Well, the next one would be twice as big as the last one. Right?
No limit. No limit soldiers. But before we get into the whole synapse and plot, because we're going to go over that, I wanted to talk a little bit about how this movie even came to be. And
Okay.
it came out in 2010. The production company that made this is Asylum, which I'm sure you've seen all their mega hits. They're responsible for movies like Snakes on a Train.
Oh, yeah.
All the Mega Shark versus movies, like
Mega
Giant
Shark.
Octopus, Mecha Shark, Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Well, Mega Piranha's right up their alley.
They are also responsible for the Sharknado craze.
Right.
They're basically sci-fi's bitch when it comes to making movies. which oddly enough, Sci-Fi showed this for the first time on April 10th, 2010. It had 2.2 million viewers when it debuted. It had the highest rating for Sci-Fi that year.
Wow.
And if you look it up on Wikipedia, it says the movie... it doesn't mention the budget on Wikipedia, but online I had to dig, and it says, rumor has it, it cost $5 million to make, which is just an insane amount of money to me. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I think that
They must have wasted a lot of money.
sometimes movie makers will inflate that number to make people think, oh, well, they threw $5 million at it. It's got to be pretty good.
Right.
But at the same time, the estimated gross for this, which I'm assuming comes from ad sales, between commercial breaks, was $36 million. This piece of shit made $36 million, which just shows you that people are hungry for something like this. The Asylum...
So if the starting budget was correct, then you're telling me that this movie had a net profit of 31.
It made money.
It made a
So,
lot
which
of money.
I think that Mega Piranha is responsible for all of these sci-fi movies that we continue to see. I think that this was the one because this falls into a line of movies called mockbusters, which basically they take a movie like this one was mocked after Piranha 3D. It's just poking fun at because they know that some people like me are gonna watch it either way. But down to the nitty gritty, when we talk about the movie itself, which before we start going into the plot, I just want to mention the ridiculousness of the title sequences. It is one of the most extreme things in the movie.
Oh, yeah, I kind of remember that.
I got visual whiplash from seeing the names and places, the titles, fly across the screen for at least the first 10 minutes of the movie. Every time it changes scenes, just be ready for fast-moving words to fly across the screen.
Or every time there's a new character. Can't forget that one, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, every time I have to... Whoosh! This person.
Yet even so, I had a really hard time keeping track of those people. Even though they gave me the glossary right at the start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, beer helps kill the memories. But a group of genetic scientists they're experimenting on these various species in the Amazon, and for some reason they decide to finagle with piranha DNA to make them more robust. I think we've already decided that I don't think piranha have a problem in this department, Dr. Science.
About us? No.
Do they,
no.
in fact, have a problem in this department?
Yeah, we went over that a little bit earlier.
Are piranha on the endangered species list?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're...
Not even close?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, didn't think so. So, well, obviously, because it's a movie, something goes awry. And this human blob of a U.S. ambassador for Venezuela, along with the Venezuelan government officials and a few topless extras, they just get chomped up by these swimming abominations. And not only everyone, but everything, including the boat, gets completely eaten. Basically like termites of the sea.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And that's just the first 5 minutes. So now it's easy to see that these fish are just pissed off at the world and attack anyone and anything on sight. Dr. Science, do piranha normally act this way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're just angry little fish that go after, live things, dead things, non-wounded things, inanimate objects.
Why do we continue to let these exist?
Well, clearly that's sarcasm.
Why do these exist?
They go for wounded creatures.
So apparently this ambassador guy was actually somebody the U.S. government gives a shit about. And Washington, and by Washington I mean Barry the Greg Brady Williams, calls in the hero of the day, Jason Fitch, played by Paul Logan. Yeah, if you don't know who Paul Logan is, there you go.
There's a reason why.
So, and like all action heroes, he is highly allergic to shirts, most of the time. I'm not sure why exactly, but this film is shot almost entirely with this yellow filter. I don't know if it has to do with the light fixing or something, but it gave everybody jaundice. It just made everybody look sickly, and it was terrible color editing. Maybe they could have spent some of that $5 million on color fixing, but, whatever. So Senor Fitch, as he will be called 8,000 times during this movie, arrives in Venezuela and is greeted by the Venezuelan army, stating that the boat was blown up, quote-unquote, and is under military investigation. And I have to say that Paul Logan, who is Fitch, just has this stonewall, confused ass, ultra-focused look on his face at all times, which just makes ample opportunity to insert jokes. You just looking at him, his dumbfounded silence. This is an excellent movie to riff to, for sure. And so as Fitch is leaving the airport, he is approached by one of the scientists responsible for this sin against God, and it's Tiffany. Oh, that's not enough? Tiffany, the 80s pop singer turned mediocre actor,
Tiffany.
and is in she's in a few of Asylum's movies, including Mega Python versus Gatoroid. Haven't seen that one either? No, okay. Anyway, she's trying to tell Fitch that it wasn't a bomb.
Senor Fitch, actually. Senor Fitch.
Senor Fitch.
Senor Fitch!
That it wasn't a bomb, but her pet fishies that they need to get the army in there ASAP to stop them. And so he blows her off, of course. Nobody believes the scientist at first. Nobody believes the whistleblower until it's too late. That's the way movies work. And he goes to the Venezuelan HQ to exchange yelling with the Latin-tempered Colonel Antonio Diaz, who is the human antagonist of this movie. He is the embodiment of a mega piranha, I guess. And Diaz won't give him any information, won't let him search the wreckage, and just completely shuts him down. So, out of nowhere, Fitch asks Diaz the probability of an animal being responsible, and is just laughed out of the room, because of course no one's going to believe that Piranha did this at this point. There's no proof. So
there's no proof.
Fitch just grabs some scuba gear and hires this Jamaican guy on a boat to take him out near the wreckage so that he can investigate. Now, this movie's supposed to be in the Amazon, supposed to be in Venezuela. I believe the filming locations were... where were they?
Florida.
Do you know, Dr. Science? Are you there?
No, yeah, I am here. We looked that up.
Belize. It was Belize and California. So they weren't anywhere close to Venezuela or the Amazon.
Well, I mean,
So
Belize
nothing-
is close-ish.
Yeah. Yep, and I'm close to Missouri.
About
So, but anyway, so he grabs his scuba gear, and before he dives, he has this hilarious conversation with Barry Williams, Greg Brady, who is Bob Grady, and who is supposed to be in Washington, D.C., where it appears to be nighttime. But what's funny is it's the middle of the day where Fitch is. So how many hours difference is it between D.C. and Venezuela?
I did look this up. There actually is 1 hour difference.
Okay.
Venezuela's ahead.
1 hour.
So if it's nighttime in D.C.,
Clearly night and day here. Clearly
it
night and
should
day.
be almost nighttime in Venezuela. So this is a running theme in the movie. There is no spatial or time concept whatsoever. And it's even more hilarious with all the bunk science thrown at us by the genetic people, which we'll get to. But Fitch explores the wreckage, and it almost... It looks like it's amongst a coral reef, which, are there coral reefs in the Amazon?
No. I can definitively say.
No, didn't think so.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, this is middle school science, kids. I don't know who did the research for this movie, but...
my guess is
didn't
nobody.
matter.
Yeah. Nobody. Exactly. So he's attacked by the piranha, and they're coming at him like barking dogs. But he gets out his knife and he slices open one of those mammoth jammas, sending the rest into a feeding frenzy on the hurt one. So we'll find out that whenever one is cut, they automatically just go right to it. There's nothing else they want more than to eat each other. That's just what they want. He escapes, he gets to shore, and has an outrageously bad land fight with one of the fish that jump out at him.
Actually, how many of those fish were?
And he
Wasn't that 13?
the first time it was the one. There's multiple land fish fights that he has.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
He takes the trophy fish and he shoves it right in Colonel Diaz's face like, "Eat it, chump." What's humorous here is that Fitch starts to sound like he's a fucking expert on these fish now, because he fought one and he's like, "Here, this is what it is. It wasn't a bomb at all." So this is where it just gets awesomely ridiculous, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
Fitch grabs his fish, like, "I'm taking this," and he goes to the scientists.
Now what I'm going to do is take our fish here over to our crazy American scientist friend. She helped design these things. Maybe she can figure out a way to exterminate them. Oh, and if Secretary Grady didn't tell you, I'm not leaving today.
I don't know how he knows where they are, but, he goes to the scientists with the fish, and the lead scientist sounds like Christian Bale's Batman through the whole movie, just barely understandable. Is it our fish?
Oh my god!
That's the sample we needed. This thing's incredible. Gordon.
Yeah.
I need you to get me a projection of the size ratio data. We need to establish migration patterns.
I'm on it.
Are there any of these things left?
And in this short scene, I became more lost in what exactly caused these fish to mutate, as well as what they plan to do about it. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they just don't tell you how they did it. Did anybody else figure that out?
Well, there's no explanation to how they did it.
They don't go into it, right? They just were like, "Oh yeah, it
was an
happened.
accident.
Sorry.
Whoops.
Whoops. So, after another time warp talk with Greg Brady, they're now claiming that they know how to kill the fish, but not with electricity, because somehow that will cause them to get stronger.
Well, everybody knows that when you shock something, all of that energy just goes inside of their cells and makes them ridiculously, unbelievably strong.
Absorbs it.
I mean, have you ever read anything about superheroes? Come on, because those are real.
And that's why I lick 9-volt batteries. So nothing's really established as to what is going to be done. Fitch, the scientists, and Colonel Diaz team up with a couple of helicopters and just bomb the shit out of that section of river at night, because, well, it's cheaper to film, and they don't really hit a thing at all, because they're just like, bah, 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 and they're covering this little section of river with fire, but don't hit anything, and they celebrate like they just won the war on terror. Like, it's like a victory fly their helicopters back, releasing the fish into the river. All they did was blow down the barrier that was holding them.
I think
meanwhile,
you're forgetting something. Is that they said that the piranhas can't survive in salt water.
Salt water.
So
whoops.
It was like, yeah, if you.
But they weren't even close to the ocean at that point.
I don't know.
This is letting them go into the mouth of the river so that they can get to actual population.
But
this is while they're still semi-small.
I thought they were like trying to dam them up against the ocean and shoot them all there. Like they thought they would go to the end of the river and not go into the ocean and just like stop there or something, and then they could shoot rockets at them. Is that not what happened?
That's not what happened at all. So you're following it as close as we are, for sure. Now, this is not the first time I've seen this movie.
I thought they used the saltwater thing somehow.
They get to a point where the fish are traveling downriver later on, and they call up Greg Brady, and they're like, hey, these fish, we gotta stop them. They're gonna get to the ocean, and once they get to the ocean, they'll be unstoppable. And Greg Brady's all like, oh, well, you know, there's bad ties with Venezuela. We can't do anything. What we can do is we'll have a ship conveniently cruising by, and if you make a distress call, we can pick you up. But we're just observers. We can't, you know, this is a whole military thing. They can't just start bombing on Venezuelan soil, even if it's fish.
On which occasion?
So,
Well, I liked when the fish jumped out of the water and chopped people in half.
oh yeah, that's definitely the highlight of the movie. And these fish, they just get bigger, and the body counts get higher, and eventually the fish storm this river city, launching themselves like fish missiles
Or fishels,
into
if you
people,
will.
buildings, cars. That's right, fishels. Highly explosive fishels at that. Doctress, are piranha good at going airborne? And is it true that fish can explode on impact?
Okay. As far as piranha going airborne, I'd say they're probably about as good as going airborne as,
Sometimes they jump
say,
out, right?
a nice big fat grass carp. I mean, they'll splash a little bit and they'll hop around, but I wouldn't say that they're of fishel category. And
They wouldn't jump out and bite
So
your
they're
hand
not
off.
exactly the Michael Jordan of fish, is that what you're saying?
that's correct. They are not. Now, as for your
All right.
question about how explosive is a general fish, I would have to say, you know, that really depends on the explosive content of the fish.
That was part of the genetic modification. They became explosive.
Gotcha. Well, that clears it all up.
Yeah.
So, the Venezuelan army, because of these fish missiles, these fishels, the Venezuelan army takes to the skies with helicopters, which by now you realize there's a lot of helicopters used in this movie. I'd say about every 5 minutes there is at least one helicopter scene, average.
Well, that's probably most of that $32 million budget.
But the thing is it's all CGI helicopter. You don't actually see
Oh.
many real helicopters flying through the air, burning
Right,
up
and
real
they're not even
gas.
good CGI.
I mean-
like it's pretty much clip art helicopters that they threw into this movie.
Clip art helicopters. And so Senor Fitch and Colonel Diaz temporarily team up again to thwart the Mega Piranha invasion by actually killing one and sending them again into a cannibalistic frenzy, which somehow chills them out at the same time. Don't understand that, but so if you're paying attention to all the details of the movie at this point, well,
That's a mistake.
congratulations. You are far more devoted than I. Basically, the middle of the movie boils down to two things: evading the Venezuelan soldiers and a race against the clock to somehow stop the piranha from reaching the ocean.
And becoming as big as whales.
Uh-huh. Bigger.
Bigger than whales.
Yeah. There are two significant scenes that I really want to talk about. The first one is during the fish attack. A piranha jumps out of the water, and by now they're the size of, like, small dogs. They're like middle-sized dogs. And it jumps out of the water, knocks down Fitch. He wrestles it off, and then a steady flow of jumping piranha come at him. And what does he do?
Oh, yeah, the
He
machine
begins
gun
to
kick.
bicycle kick each and every one of those sorry-ass water breathers.
Yes!
How many do you ask? How many? Did you
I
count?
didn't count.
13 consecutive kicks.
Nice.
That has got to be some kind of world record, I'm sure. And hopefully we'll have video on the site of
Yeah,
the
that's one of my
bicycle
favorite
kick, 'cause
scenes.
that's definitely one thing I want to throw up, because that is just...
It's pretty much...
That is like
it's-
Oscar, that's Academy Award worthy cinematography, and I could watch that all day.
Yeah, that was
Bicycle
one that,
kickling.
that really caught my
Bicycle
attention.
kicking fish.
Like Liu Kang on the ground.
No, I mean, he's not good of it. He's got to be on the ground for that one.
Liu Kang on the ground, looking like a fool with Liu Kang on the ground. And the other scene we have to talk about is the car chase scene. Now, Mike, I don't think I ever discussed with you the car chase scene beforehand. Did you notice anything funny about that car chase scene?
Huh. I don't...
Anything out of the ordinary?
I can't picture the car chase scene. What
Okay.
happened?
When I watched it, me and Dr. S, we watched it together like 3 or 4 years ago. When it first came out, we watched it, and it really just takes it all for winning the half-assed award for most half-assed car chase scene. For one, it's barely a car chase, cinematically speaking. Like, there's not a whole lot of driving or action in a car. I mean, it's just two cars driving around. And
it doesn't take up a whole lot of time either.
Yeah. And the reason the car chase is happening is Fitch and the scientists need to make it to the bay where the river meets the ocean by 0930 hours in order to make a distress call on the awaiting naval ship that we talked about to pick them up. But what is funny is it's already like high noon. But whatever. We've already established that time means nothing here, especially when Greg Brady is calling from Aruba now, and it's sunrise and it's midday in Venezuela. But who cares? No one will ever notice, you know. Anyway, Fitch and company jump into a silver Hyundai, and I'm mentioning the make of the car because it's important to know that, like our continuing time paradox situation, we now are about to witness a 7-car chase that only involves 2 cars. Take a moment. We start the chase with a black SUV. At first, I think it's a CRV.
Yeah, that's the first one.
And a silver sedan, the Hyundai. Yeah, a CRV and a Hyundai. They chase through the village, and amongst camera shots, the sedan is now a Toyota Camry some of the time. The SUV goes from CRV to Tahoe to Explorer to old-ass Bronco to GMC.
Really?
It is just too... It's just too magical to really describe without
I think when we do some video
recommend,
on the site, that definitely needs to be there. Maybe with some captions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe with some captions.
I recommend watching this movie, if only for this chase scene.
I'm gonna go back
just,
and watch that now.
You have to. It is just too beautiful. And the cherry on top of all this is that they do this close up on the shifter. But the only flaw is the car's an automatic. So they taking turns to get this close up of a car shifting from park to low. Yeah, but no one will ever notice it.
I feel like that might have been the theme that they worked on for this movie. I think that might have been their motto: was nobody's going to notice. Nobody's going to notice.
They had to say that like every day. Every day during the
all right, guys,
process,
inconsistency. That's what we're going for.
No one will notice. So they temporarily lose Diaz at the end of this chase. Diaz and his goons, just by pulling over and letting them cruise on by. And then the shit is really hitting the fan fish-wise at this point. The piranha are now barreling downstream, swimming like dolphins. And they're about the size of small whales. And at one point in the middle of the movie, one of the scientists makes a statement that like we said, that the fish are doubling size in half the time, which is quadruple speed.
Yes.
And they now sound like T-Rexes, by the way. So there you go. Fitch and the scientists, they arrive at the port town by the bay. And the fish are jumping once again like enormous fishels. Explosions galore, pure chaos. So what do? They abandon the car. Why? Why? I have no clue. I was baffled. So now they're running through the scrub jungle, being chased by Diaz, who looks like at this point he's like drunk. I don't know. He was taunting them all like, "Oh, what are you doing? I want to come and find you." He's just belligerent.
Yes.
I'm sure he would be. I'd be drunk too if I was in this movie. Definitely. They try to call Greg Brady, but the phone's battery dies. Which I guess is the best idea they could come up with to try and build suspense. I mean, what was their solution? Do you remember, Mike?
Oh,
How did they solve the dead battery?
they did something
Yeah,
like rubbed
equal
it in their
equation.
hands or something. I don't know.
No. Tiffany tells Fitch to put the battery in his mouth.
10% extra
And
charge.
his spit would give the battery 10% extra charge. So remember, kids.
Little extra charge.
Mouth plus battery
Well,
equals 10% extra charge.
I'm going to go ahead and have
Any
to say
truth,
that
Doc?
one's a load of BS. And also another thing I want to point out is they mentioned that this equation would give it 10% extra charge. But 10% from what? Zero charge? So still 0%? Alright, I guess that one checks out okay.
So they
That's
failed
true,
math
then.
class. Obviously,
Math is just
they
an
can't
illusion.
Tell time. They can't do anything.
But they made $40 million.
Okay, they got one thing right on the math there.
And it works. It worked. They got the phone charged, and they call Greg just in time to see the ship firing at the Piranha. After admittedly stating, or adamantly stating, that there is nothing the U.S. can legally do, they now do a full-out battleship missile barrage onto Venezuelan soil, which in real life is an act of war. So these fish are now the size of cruise ships, and they eat the battleship.
Oh,
They eat-
yeah.
The battleship.
And that's
Fitch and
the
his
end.
science peeps get a hold of a helicopter somehow. I don't know. I've had like 6 beers at this point. And they're being chased yet again by Diaz and another helicopter. More helicopters.
More
Diaz,
chase.
More chase.
More chase.
Who yet again he fails to catch them. He's like the freaking Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. But he does manage to punch a hole in their fuel supply that leads to another editing flub. The fuel gauge is shown the first time, digitally reading 190 gallons, I guess. I don't know. And it's dropping. About a minute of talking and BS happens. We gotta go here. Oh, but what about this? Oh, I don't know. And they show the fuel gauge again, but now it's reading 207 and dropping. Divine fuel. Divine fuel. That's all I can
Dr. Science, you got anything?
guess.
Virtual particles?
There you go. They find this oil rig in the ocean, but due to time and budget, it doesn't show them land. Cheaper, again. They're running out of fuel. It could have been this like heated scene where they almost don't land the thing, but they just go, oh, there it is. Boom, on the ground. That's it. So now we're over an hour into the movie, and Greg Brady and Fitch are finally shown in the same scene. Greg Brady and anybody else really involved in this movie are finally shown. And they figure out that the fish are heading straight for Florida, which is the obvious choice. And I guess they go around Jamaica and Cuba and Haiti and all that shit, because who wants to go there?
White
you know?
people taste
they want
better.
Florida. They
Yeah,
want
screw all
Florida,
those
the other
islands
white
in
meat.
between there.
They send a nuclear sub out to try and intercept, but never say it's a nuclear sub. They just throw around the word 20 megatons a few times. Turns out that it was a nuke, but it didn't do shit. So now they have just contaminated the ocean, and you have pissed off, radioactive, I assume, Mega Piranha, which, by the way, a few bites to a nuclear sub from a piranha causes it to explode.
Yeah, that would depend on if they chomped right into the reactor or
So
not.
it's possible. With a mega piranha, it could happen.
Now Fitch, because he is an expert at everything at this point in the movie, he says that if they hurt one, it should bleed out and send the others into a frenzy, and they'll just take care of themselves. And the fish are really hard to hurt, though, so they need to hit them right in the eye. Just right in the eye.
But you'd have to go down with other divers for that. Swim right alongside them. Hit them in the eyes or something.
Exactly. Right in the eyes.
And the piranha, they reach Florida and kamikaze into buildings, piers, and boats and all of that. Giant, flying, exploding piranha. And there is this scene, which could be a Billy Mays infomercial, and it's about this underwater gun called an MK-15, and it boasts to be this most powerful underwater hand cannon in the world, and they can take down a submarine in one shot. And this is where you'll find all the best lines in the movie.
Yeah.
One of them was, "Nothing but fish! Yeah!"
This is the MK-15, the most powerful handheld underwater cannon in the world. It fires 120 rounds per minute, fully functional up to a depth of 675 feet. If you are approached, fire. If you are uncertain, fire. And if you are retreating, fire. This cartridge holds 20-millimeter armor-piercing rounds. There's also another cartridge that holds high-powered penetration bombs. This ammunition was designed for one soldier to take down a nuclear sub. So consider yourself a good match against these fish. And that's exactly what they are. Nothing but fish. Yeah!
And, well, anyway, Fitch, he takes some Navy SEALs, scuba dive into the water because they gotta swim with these fish in order to shoot them. And their guns are blazing, and they're having this epic battle. And who shows up? That's right, Colonel Diaz in his helicopter, all the way from fucking Venezuela. And I'm no expert, but how far can a helicopter fly before needing to refuel?
I'm no expert either, but I do know that it's not that far.
Not that far.
Not as far as Venezuela to Florida.
Wouldn't think so.
Like I
Sounds
said,
a
man,
little
he
far.
is just... He is Wile E. Coyote, I swear. He's just hell-bent on catching Fitch, who's the Roadrunner. And Fitch has some beeping device thing, which is really just a CO2 cartridge, straight up. No paint, no words, not even a fake button at the top, just a CO2 cartridge, if you've ever seen one of those. And I don't remember how he gets captured, but somehow ends up on the helicopter with Diaz. But like a badass, he gets this, sucker punches one of the guys, gets a flare gun, and shoots the pilot right in the mouth, exploding his head.
Nice.
Exploding his head. It was awesome. So he scuffles with Diaz and activates the fish device, the CO2 cartridge, throws it down and jumps out of the helicopter, which causes this whale-sized piranha to jump up, grab the helicopter, and destroy Diaz in a grisly death. And this is how I would want to go out, truthfully. If I had my choice of dying,
By piranha.
I would want to go out in a helicopter, being eaten by a giant mutant piranha. It just that's how I would want to go out for sure. And meanwhile, in the water, no one's hitting shit, and Fitch heroes up and shoots a piranha, clinching the helicopter, and blows him up.
Blows him up.
Yep, blows him up. So then, frenzy. Everybody cheers because somehow they have, I don't know, front row camera from the base, so everyone knows instantly, like, yeah, he did it, and they cheer like they just won the Super Bowl, and that's it. I don't really know how it was solved, but whatever. Time's up. And there's this hero's welcome on the oil rig when Fitch gets picked up by a helicopter, goes back to the rig, and they just backlight the shit out of it to the point where you can't even see anything. It just like some sort of divine ascension, like these lights, and it's over. There's no closure, no nothing.
He kisses
Just
the lady
ends.
though too.
Yeah, which they have no chemistry throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, they
I would
just
have not
kiss.
seen that coming. It's not like they were
it's over. Oh, we
heating
better
up during the
have sex
movie.
now.
It was just that was it. So, Dr. Science, I believe that you developed a victory formula about how this movie runs.
Oh, a victory formula. Where are my notes on that one? Let's see. I think you might have a copy of that one, don't you? What's that victory formula?
I have it here if you'd like me to take the honors.
You mean the formula for how they won?
The formula for how to win against Mega Piranha.
That's what it was, yeah.
Step 1, kill the big
There it is.
piranha. Step 2, the rest swarm and eat it. Step 3, Step 4, profit. And so the official science rating, Dr. Science. Science. So now we're gonna rate the movie personally. Mike, how many hush puppies would you rate this movie?
Out of how many hush puppies?
As many as you like.
Is it just
A basket.
giving hush puppies for?
A bushel.
Uh,
A friarful.
I'd say at least 4 hush puppies.
4 hush puppies. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
kind of like 4 out of 5 hush puppies, where the hush puppies
4 out
are.
of 5 hush puppies.
You only
Any
get, you only
condiments?
get hush puppies when you suck. So
Is that when you get them?
I guess
hush,
that explains it.
hush puppies.
Would you watch this movie again? I guess you did. You said you would just for the car
I'm gonna
chase.
go. I'm gonna try and watch that car chase again.
But like a couple years from now, you're bored. Like, hey, honey, let's watch Mega Piranha.
Maybe as a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, honey.
Yeah. Let's watch Mega Piranha. I want a divorce.
This is why.
Would you ever be willing to do something like this again? Like if someone were to say, "Hey, I got this movie that you probably never heard of. You want to watch it?" Would you do that?
I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
And you'll do it again. Well, there we go. Well, that wraps it up. So I guess that's about it. That's a good first episode. I don't exactly have a specific person lined up yet for the next one. I've asked a couple people, and they both said they'd do it, but I don't know who I'm going to ask first to go. So it just depends on how it times up. But thanks, Mike, for doing this, and I appreciate you coming on. And you can find Mike's music, which is awesome stuff. What would you say your music is if you could define it?
I've been calling it Rocktronica and Funk Electro.
Those are some cool names right there.
Shit.
Yeah.
God, if that's not an excuse,
And
if that's not an excuse to listen to
I'm
it,
pretty sure I thought of the genre name Rocktronica, and then
God dang,
why the like after I thought of it, and then I swear I looked on SoundCloud and I searched for that genre and it didn't exist, but then like 3 months later it's there.
it existed because everything exists on the internet.
It must exist, right?
So, is there a song that you would like us to play at the end of this episode?
I have to think about that. You could probably play just the end of Tranquility.
You know, you just play like everything from where I started up until the end of the actual song.
That'd be pretty cool.
Cool. All right, I'll do that then.
Aww.
For you.
For me.
All right. Well,
Thanks for
we're gonna
having me.
wrap
It
up.
was fun.
Well, dude, if I don't get enough people to sign on to this bullshit,
Yeah, I mean, I'll
Then,
definitely do it
I'll
again, and whenever, if you get somebody next time, that's good. But I'd like to.
I got
do
a
it
couple
again.
people lined up, but like, there's only so many people who
Yeah.
have the time, the technology, and the want to do something like this. So
Yeah,
the important part is that someone's watching these movies, and that we're having fun doing it because I'm not making money out of this. So
yeah.
I'll just
It's good for
it's
your
for fun.
resume.
yeah. Yep. That old resume. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Bobby Mike.
And I'm Dr. Science.
Awesome. All right, folks. See you.
See you later.
Bye.
Here is Tranquility by the Nice Ninja. Stop wasting the science. Keep it safe.